Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pit Road Productions. Or if you're watching on Swelio Almeida's channel, a huge warm welcome to you. We're going to be here for Season 3B, and it is indeed round 3 of this rather short, rather funky season we've got here today, which is going to involve the Pro 2 Lite truck going around Hockenheim. Definitely a very unusual combination here. You can see the track of about 4.53 kilometers in length, and it's actually going to be the Grand Prix layout. So, in other words, the full whack, ladies and gentlemen. Track temp actually looking incredibly hot as well, 43 degrees Celsius. So definitely a little bit more than balmy, ladies and gentlemen. But I should probably introduce myself. My name is Daniel Zippy Sound, and joining me in the commentary booth today, we have Kyle the Bold Eagle Mills. Interesting to see him. Incidentally, he's actually making his second debut show here. He did actually do his first ones here on the channel. So Carl, very good to have you, and oh my gosh, it's like he's a completely different guy with his glasses off, ladies and gentlemen. Carl, definitely not something that either of us regularly drive. Certainly, have you had any experience here in the Pro 2 Lite truck, or indeed at Hockenheim?
I do have experience at Hockenheim. I have zero experience in the Pro 2 Lite trucks, so this is definitely a interesting combination. I've had a couple buddies who drive the Pro 2 Lite trucks, and I know they're a little loose in the rear end, but not so heavy on the power. So I'm interested to see these the trucks getting wrestled around kind of the tight corners that we have here at Hockenheim, right?
Yeah, definitely. It is going to be a very challenging thing. And I think the biggest thing as well is it's going to be a new set of tests for these drivers. That's one of the things that the coaches wanted to organise. And what's actually quite fascinating, we were just discussing it before we went on air. Some of the coaches, despite the fact we know they're very potent in road, Kane Halliburton, for example, 5,336 iRating in a dirt road format, which is absolutely incredible. Fair to say, a lot of people here I've seen for a rookie license or a D license, so you can tell that these guys generally do not run that combination. Brian Lockwood rocking a 3,000 I rating as well. So definitely, these coaches not just potent on the road side, they've been able to apply them skills to other areas of motorsport, and hopefully something that our students can pick up as well. But definitely, I'm looking forward to Season 4. I can't tell anybody about that just yet. Certainly, looking like some really good information, some good races under wraps there. Definitely looking forward to it. But I got to admit, Kyle, it's definitely going to be an interesting combination. My experience of the Pro 2 Lite truck, however, is there is definitely quite a lot of body roll. Obviously, it's a big truck. It's got big, long travel suspension. Certainly, it's going to have the external reservoirs as well, which, random fact, it's cool. Generally, if a shock's got an external reservoir, it works pretty damn good. But definitely, it's going to be quite challenging, I feel, because the draft's going to play into it. Not only that, there's only a couple of gears in these things. You're not going to get a 6-7 speed box or anything like that, and you're definitely going to have to plan your passes very carefully. And I do have a feeling we're going to see a little bit of trading paint going on here at Hockenheim.
Definitely believe there should be. Even driving GT3 cars here, P2s, I've had a couple occasions where you're side by side for almost the majority of the lap, and there's a really good, I can't remember the corner number right now, sharp right-hander, and you're on to a long straight. That's a fantastic passing opportunity if you're able to get on the brakes, but it does lead to a lot of side-by-side racing into the next section.
Well, definitely we're going to have to keep an eye out. But let's take a quick look at the race format, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how these guys are going to run this day. They've had a 60-minute practice session open to them with a 15-minute qualifying, and open qualifying at that, so they will be sharing the track. Heat race 1 will be 15 minutes, with the heat race 2 being 15 minutes again, with the top 10 being inverted, with the main feature race being just that little bit longer, with the grid set by Heat 2. There is no fast repair available, and it is indeed a fixed setup. As we have a look at the schedule as well, ladies and gentlemen, you can see they started the season with LMP3 at Interlagos before going to Road America for the Formula 4s. Today we'll be at the Hockenheim with the Pro 2 Lights, with the final round actually being something that I'm actually quite looking forward to. The Legends car, albeit at Snetterton 100. So definitely going to be interested to see how that works out. But right now in qualifying, Ian Joyner is top of the food chain in the number 13 truck.
Absolutely is. As we go on board here with Ian Joyner, our pole sitter as it stands right now, provisionally. 2-minute 5.7, and I believe in practice we saw some guys a little bit faster, so, going out there, getting a feel for the track again, as you see that body roll coming into a pretty sweeping corner there. This is a pretty tight one as well, so I'm really curious to see how these drivers are able to manipulate and throw these trucks around, and if we can get some really good close racing out of this.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be some very, very close racing. I mean, look at the slide there. You're going to have to be balancing it a little bit correction there, and definitely gone a little bit too deep on that one, albeit it made for a lot of fun. Now, I think the beautiful part about this, I mean, look at the tires as well. You can see they're definitely, well, they're not slick, ladies and gentlemen, as you would expect them not to be. Definitely a good bit of fun there using all of the curb. These things will absolutely demolish those curbs. They are not even going to feel it with the kind of suspension that these trucks have. Honestly, they can take a jump and land, and you know they're designed more for that. So a curb is realistically like running over a pebble for these guys. But definitely going to be some close racing indeed. It reminds me a little bit of my rallycross days. Certainly not just in the sim, but in real life as well. You want to have the fine balance between getting a slide and indeed not burning the time sliding sideways. It is a very fickle beast. You want to try and find that happy medium here. So we was on board with Abdul Rahman Mahmood here in the number 6 car, looking to try and make his way up through the qualifying standings.
Yeah, and as we go on board with him here, again, the body roll here is just the most impressive part to me. This is one of the few cars where a Scandinavian flick is not only going to look cool, it's going to be effective. One of my favorite things to say, by the way. When I accidentally get oversteer into a corner. But again, these guys are going to be utilizing that oversteer to be able to rotate this car, because that front end doesn't like to grip up like a lot of the sports cars that we're used to.
Oh, I can definitely understand that. And, you know, I don't know how effective that Scandinavian flick's going to be, but certainly these guys, I do wonder, is it going to be a bit of an equalizer here? Certainly it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. It's a completely different discipline than normal, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. Obviously, we've seen these guys. They started off in the M2, which was very much a new car to iRacing at the time. So they started off in that, then they went over to the F1600, definitely brought a bit more carnage, before taking a quick stop in the LMP3, the Formula 4, and now the most unusual challenge that they've all been given, the Pro 2 Lite truck. And you can see there, look at the dip under the braking there. Absolutely massive from Kevin Adrian. Be interested to see how he can do with this. Certainly, looking at his stats, he is not a guy who generally drives dirt road.
No, not necessarily looking at it here, but he's able to wheel this truck around around Hockenheim here, putting himself in P4 right now as we're about to come across the line, see if he can improve on that lap. Give him just a second here, and he doesn't. But I mean, still in P5 with a 2:08, so a little bit off pace here. But you know, given the time that these guys have had in the trucks, the fact that they're able to wheel these things around here as quick as they are is impressive to me.
I honestly think that the draft is going to be a big part of it, because if I have a look at the qualifying standings right now, the top 3 very, very closely together. You can see that Ian Joyner, Cairo Enns, and Thomas Niemann, all very much a balanced field, all in the 205. It's actually 205.72 down to the 205.8, so just 0.08 of a second in it between them. But then there's a bit of a gap, and it gets close yet again. It starts at Matt Larkin with a 206.5. Followed by a 5.8, a 6.8, an 8.5, a 90. Incredibly close there from P4 all the way down to about P10, ladies and gentlemen. P10, even P11. It's incredibly close. Andrew Calabresi there, one of the late joiners to the session. He's looking to try and find his, get himself settled in there and see what he can do. But I can see Kane Halliburton and Brian Lockwood yet to make qualifying time. We also have Hayden Bramley joining us today. He's one of the novice coaches, and I believe he was the first person to actually pass the Almeida Academy courses as well.
Awesome accomplishment for Hayden, and super awesome to see him here as a coach and getting involved, you know, able to kind of connect with the students on a level that, not necessarily on a level that the other coaches can't, but saying, hey, I've been in your shoes, and you know, this is what this looked like to me. It's cool to have that different kind of insight from a guy like him.
Oh, very, very much so. Certainly, I've raced against Hayden before, and I say raced, I've watched him go by me. Let's put it like that. Quite aggressive when he does race. I'll give him that. But when he's on form, he is an absolute weapon. Certainly, we've seen him being very capable in a spec racer Ford, which, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who is familiar with Pit Road Productions will know, without a shadow of a doubt, that is my favourite car on the sim, and I'd very much love to drive one. Closely followed by the Radical as well. I do quite like Radicals, but more sort of for you know, the fact they're made almost in my hometown as well. So definitely a biased opinion there. But looking at these guys going qualifying, you can see this is Kevin Adrian here in the number 12 truck, trying to pick up a toe from the car ahead of him. And this could be absolutely huge in helping him climb up in the standings. He's got the number 3 car ahead. That's Zoltan Zomator, ladies and gentlemen, as they're going down into the hard braking zone of this hairpin. You can see there, just trying to pitch the nose, get the weight. That's it. That's the thing. Another thing I think which will be very beneficial to these drivers, honestly, Carl, maybe something that we don't think about in the sim too often, but weight transfer. You know, I know you're an LMP2 GT3 driver, but certainly it's not something you feel in the car as much with there being such stiff suspension. Maybe it's time that you took a couple laps in one of these, Carl.
I definitely wouldn't hurt. Now, in the real life side, I do have a little Porsche Boxster that I do some SCCA and NASA stuff with. So definitely used to a little bit of weight transfer there compared to on the sim, but nothing compared to these trucks.
Well, I've got to admit, I never knew you had a Boxster, which is kind of annoying because, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, I actually promised myself one of those by the time I was 30, a Boxster S. Well, ladies and gentlemen, despite my ravishingly young looks and outstanding beauty, which is obviously, you know, this is fiction here on Pit Road Productions at times, and the hair and makeup department is about the same as Canada Post. So I can't even say that with straight face. They're on strike, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put it like that, or going on strike. But it's fair to say, I've completely lost my chain of thought now, but it's fair to say I've hit 34, and it hasn't happened. I'll be 35 this year. And having worked on cars as well, I don't know if I want to get into a Boxster, but certainly we will talk more about that later as we're seeing the guys trying to get the last couple laps in there. We're watching Yanis Theophanopoulos right now. You look at that slide. I do wonder if he would have got away with that or if it would have been flagged by an off-track. I know our director is definitely very familiar with Hockenheim. I think it's actually on his Princess-approved track list. Forgive me if I'm wrong there, but certainly some tracks in particular, you know, the off-tracks can really make or break it. Certainly, I think it was Alton Park I was at the other day. Absolutely brutal, I think, in turn 3.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier too, Zippy. I've driven this track quite a bit, and there are a couple tricky sections here where it's very easy to get an off-track. We're watching Yanis Theophanopoulos head into a big one right now. If you carry just too much speed and come out here just a little too wide over those curves right there, you will catch an off-track. And so wheeling these big trucks around there, you really have to be on top of things to stay within track limits.
Yeah, very much so. And certainly when you get something a bit bigger, a bit heavier, it definitely, you've got a lot more momentum, a lot more weight, a lot more mass, a lot more energy, ladies and gentlemen, propelling that thing along. So certainly, it's not necessarily going to be as nimble as, say, the Formula car that they would have been in last week. Definitely, I got to admit, though, I think this is going to be really good. I'm looking forward to the race car. I do wonder how many wide we're going to see. Certainly, actually, I remember when we saw, was it the LMP3s where we saw them, and it was absolutely a diabolical race start, 4 or 5 wide potentially into Lagos. Absolutely crazy. Certainly, I think Road America had a couple of moments as well. But I have a feeling here today, Carl, we may even see 3 wide without a doubt. But I do wonder if we'll see 4. Certainly, Hockenheim, it's not one of the widest tracks, but it's definitely got room to get a few cars side by side, and that, I think, may have been an up-track there by Hudson Yee.
Yeah, the stewards definitely would have flagged that one. I can tell you that from experience. I've lost many a lap times around here going wide right there. As we go on board with Brian Lockwood here, one of our coaches. And where is Brian sitting at here? Yet to see a time on board. So I think the coaches are going to kind of sit back and fight from the back of the field. That's typically how they tend to do this. Yeah, Zippy?
Yeah, generally the coaches will start at the back. We see Sammy Hendricks making an appearance as well. He has not yet put a lap time up on the board. Now, don't get me wrong, he is a novice coach, but he does indeed put a qualifying time in. As I say that, that's the end of qualifying. It's a hard cut because it's a heat race, ladies and gentlemen, and that means we are going to be able to get over to the grid here in just a second. So certainly going to be interesting to see how that worked out with Ian Joyner being at the top step. Cairo ends in second. The Finland driver, Thomas Nieminen, he's there in third with Matt Larkin in fourth. Kevin Adrian takes fifth with Jeremy Childers in sixth. Yanis Theophanopoulos is in 7th with John Morandini in 8th. Zoltan Zomator takes 9th with Abdul Rahman Mahmood in 10th.
Yeah, and then we have Hudson Yee in 11th, followed by Andrew Calabrese, Kane Halliburton, Brian Lockwood, Hayden Bramley, and Sammy Hendricks finishing out the pack. Again, our coach is not setting a lap time. Going to start from the back of the grid today.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle this. Certainly, I would... I think I know Reese is. We will forgive him for being absent. He's actually running in a vintage series, and I think it's R Factor, but forgive me if I'm wrong. Definitely, I can't fault him for wanting to drive a little bit of vintage machinery. But certainly, if Reese was here, I think I probably would have ended this race and had a little bit of fun. Despite Hockenheim not being one of my favorite tracks, I love driving things that realistically are not meant to be driven in a manner they're potentially intended, and something like this would just absolutely appeal to me. Don't get me wrong, if we'd had the legacy NASCAR truck, I think that could have been an absolute minefield of accidents, and I would have enjoyed every minute of it. But certainly, maybe we'll have to set up one of those as just a little fun race for PRP. You know, get the old legacy truck around Watkins Glen or something like that. That could be a good laugh, but definitely looking forward to it. And it's good to see the grid has filled out a bit as well. We're up to 16 drivers now. Definitely, we're a little bit worried initially. We only had 8, and that grid size has doubled, but definitely going to be good to see how this turns out. Ian Joyner going to be starting us off with the front row.
Yeah, starting us off on the front row here, but doesn't have the inside line. And turn 1 as we get a truck jump to start here, so definitely going to have the stewards looking into that one. They typically don't enjoy jump starts.
Yeah, definitely not. And I can see that it looks like Hudson Yee has jumped to the pit, so that may have been who jumped the start there. But Ian Joyner is up and away, ladies and gentlemen. And I have a feeling the draft is going to be absolutely massive in this. As you see right behind him is Cairo ends in the 332. Behind him, Thomas Niemanen is there in third. Jeremy Schilder's already up 2 spots. Actually, the hard charger right now, though, is John Morandini. He's currently up in 5th, up 3 spots. You see a little bit of a tank slapper there by one of the cars, but so far all of them are able to get the thing through. I have a feeling we're not going to see too many wrecks here, and if we do, they may indeed involve a rollover as they're starting to start the first lap of this race.
Yeah, big truck's cutting a big hole in the air, so Cairo's getting a fantastic run down here into, looks like, I'm going to attempt to pronounce that corner, but turn 6 here onto the track as we get heavy onto the brakes into this tight corner.
Yeah, the Spitzkehrer, I believe, is the turn 6 as the hairpin as they're making their way down to turn 7. Actually, pronunciation really on point today. Now I've said that, it's probably going to go down the pan. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pit Road Productions. You see here, Ian Joyner in the number 13 car, actually starting to pull away a bit of a gap. He's got it up to 8 tenths of a second, and then the pack does indeed get quite thick. It looks like the biggest action is currently happening actually back in P9. So Hudson Yeh, I thought he'd towed to the pits, but it looks like he's back out on track as we've got a 2-wide, almost 3-wide scenario there. Brian Lockwood getting involved in the mix there in that number 8 car. Currently up an incredible 4 spots. Make that 5 spots as he just made his way past the number 10 car of Hudson.
Yeah, Brian Lockwood, again, one of our coaches here. Very fast driver, pretty much no matter where you put him, right on the back end of this number 9 car here. Which is a little bit wide. I think he would have got away with that one. Heavy braking zone here as we go on board with Giannis Theophanopoulos. I love this view looking out the back of the car here. Able to see the chasing pack behind us, and everybody's still pretty tight.
Yeah, I definitely get the feeling there's going to be a lot of wheel-to-wheel action. And you see there, it looks like Kane Halliburton trying to make a move up on the inside. Or is that Hayden? No, that's Hayden Bramley, ladies and gentlemen, trying to make a move up on the inside on Abdulrahman Mahmoud, who I do believe was, I think they may be one of the novice coaches as well. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I definitely seen him hanging out in my Twitch stream, actually. It's been a while since I've done it, but he did actually come out and hang out, which was very nice. Very much appreciate the company. As you see, Kane Halliburton, he's in the number 7 car, so he is indeed out of uniform on this one. Maybe we did indeed refresh the pace before the start, but it looks like Giannis Theophanopoulos currently under pressure there from Brian Lockwood, who's up 7 spots, very much making his way through the field, gets up ahead, parks it in front as they go through Spitzkehrer.
Yeah, just going down the front straight there, I saw Matt Larkin duck into the pit lane, so I'm curious to see if anything happened to him. Maybe he picked up some damage on the vehicle or forgot to put fuel in. Definitely an interesting time to pit there, but he's not too far off the back of the pack. Looks he's maybe 5 seconds off Sammy Hendricks here, so he's able to get some wheeling in and catch back up to that pack, but not sure why he would have dipped down into the pit lane. Possibly a drive-through for a jump start now that I'm thinking about it, Zicky.
Yeah, I mean, that could be it. Maybe it was Matt Larkin, but I am getting a couple of crash warnings pop up. I do wonder what's happened there. Hudson Yeh, Andrew Calabresi, and Zoltan Zomator. I do wonder if something happened there. As you see, we take a quick look at the replay. This is Hudson Yeh in the number 10 car, so you can see him. He's currently on the, he's at the front of your shot. Goes hard on the brakes, very hard on the brakes, and oh, gets a little bit of attack cycle there, able to keep hold of it. I think it's just flagging there just because of the reduced speed. Obviously, these trucks generally not running at an asphalt course, but a very, very interesting combination indeed. As Brian Lockwood is currently up 7 spots, Cairo ends. He's gone down a spot into third to Thomas Nieminen, who's managed to make his way up into second. Now, I was saying it just last week, ladies and gentlemen, that Finland has one of the most incredible driving standards you have to try and do to pass your driving test. And I took a lot of pride, a lot of I don't know if pride is the right word, but certainly I was quite impressed actually to see them up and about, certainly rocking this unusual combo all the way up in P2. But right now, he's going to be trying to chase down Ian Joyner, who we've seen here time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much skilled in anything you put him in, certainly particularly adept in the Formula 1600 cars. But that gap was almost a second, and Nieminen has managed to bring it down to under half a second. The draft really starting to come into play.
Yeah, and right as you say that, just a second back to Cairo Ennis in third, and he's slowly gaining up on that number 2 spot there, trying to get involved in this fight, make it a three-way fight for the lead. But I definitely think, Zippy, you're proving yourself to be a knowledgeable man by talking about Mr. Nieminen and them having very strict driving standards.
Oh.
And as we lose connection on him here, so Cairo Ennis promoted up to second here. Jeremy Childers in third, and a big gap now. No, still only less than a second from Ian to Cairo in second place. So definitely interesting developments here, folks, as we go on board here with our new second place man, Cairo Ennis.
Yeah, definitely not quite sure what happened there to Thomas Nieminen. He's still showing it's connected on my end, but definitely he absolutely snowballed there through the standings. As you see a little bit of an opportunistic there, Cairo ends, giving Ian Joyner a little bit of a peek there, just applying a bit of pressure. And I got to say, that was actually some really good graphics there from iRacing. I just seen if we go from a maybe a gearbox camera there, roll bar camera, just nose camera, that's the one I'm thinking of. Nose camera here from like Cairo ends. You can actually see the mud flaps moving on the back of these cars. So you can see if you watch Ian Joyner ahead, you can see the mud flaps moving. I've never actually noticed that before. It's incredible.
Well, it is a simulator, Zippy, so we're going to have to give them props for being accurate on that. But I do have to agree with you, that is something I've never noticed before, and it is kind of cool to see the level of detail that the devs put into stuff like this, and that's why we race here. You know, it's hard to find something that's this accurate over such a broad span of cars and tracks, and so definitely impressive to see that as we go on board here with Brian Lockwood. Again, paint a little iffy today. We've updated trading paints multiple times. Not sure what's going on there, but it doesn't matter what paint he's in. He's fast.
Yeah, definitely. If speed was colored by decided by a livery, it's fair to say I would have every speed-inducing livery on the planet. Certainly, Lightning McQueen could be anyone. But that's Kane Halliburton there, looking to apply pressure to I believe Hayden Bramley. Yeah, Hayden Bramley and Kane Halliburton are now going at it. It's the 7 versus the 16, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got to see just how hard these guys are going to fight. Certainly, Halliburton is indeed the most potent driver on paper in this session, and currently up 4 spots. Brian Lockwood up 8 so far, been able to make his way through the traffic a little bit easier here, but can Hayden Bramley follow through one of the top coaches here at the Almeida Academy and make his way up? As it's telling me Ian Joyner, actually let's go to the lead here. It looks like we've got a battle for the lead between Ian Joyner and Jeremy Childers. Now, Jeremy Childers, he was narrowly missed out on going to top split for season 3. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit different here, as he's currently contesting not just for the podium, but for an outright win there. As you see, applying a good amount of pressure there to the back of Ian Joyner, as Cairo ends now taking over that second spot.
Absolutely. Jeremy Childers close behind in this battle too. Honestly, it's pretty tight all the way back to about 5th place to Kevin Adrian. Again, one of my favorite views here as we hop on board with Cairo ends here, looking at Jeremy Childers behind him, 6/10 behind, with John Marandini just a second behind. And so it's a tight fight here. One little mistake, one misstep, and you're going to open up the door, especially in a truck where if you get a little bit too much oversteer, you're going to lose so much speed. It's easy to scrub speed in these trucks, definitely a momentum vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely, very much. You've got to... it's hard, especially with something that's this heavy as well. The reaction time isn't necessarily as quick as you're used to. As you see Hayden Bramley taking the inside line, Hudson Yee carrying a little bit too much speed into that, and you can see there it's quite heavily. But with the draft being so potent in these trucks, there is actually a little bit of forgiveness there in potential, as I do believe Thomas Niemann checking in, he is not currently moving as much as I can tell, ladies and gentlemen. So sadly, he is, I believe he may be in the pits, as something that's happened with Andrew Calabrese as well.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier. Thomas Niemann, he was moving earlier, 1 lap down though, so I think this was kind of one of those things where after that connection issue he had, there wasn't much he could do after that. He said, you know what, we'll save it for next time, come back, I'll prove Zippy right, finish on the podium, and we'll make up for this.
You see Andrew Calabrese there going down pit lane. I do wonder if a you know, a harsher incident point limit has potentially been scheduled for this session. Certainly not information I've been privy to, but I am starting to wonder. I have to take a quick look in the session, probably during the warm-up or something along that, as we have seen himself go through the pits. We've seen Matt Larkin go through the pits. Definitely some interesting things happening, but right now the closest battle actually looks like it's between Kane Halliburton and Yanis Piafanopoulos for P7.
Yeah, and Kane, one of those guys, you know, again, a coach, so very skilled driver, able to, those trucks love to just snap right there. And if you're able to carry that slide through there, you can carry that momentum, carry that speed. Again, though, big truck cutting a big hole in the air for the draft for the truck behind. But it looks like they like to lock up on that front left and just snap a little bit going through that corner. So, you know, it's really going to come down to whoever's able to carry the most speed whenever you're side by side, like we're looking at Abdul Rahman and Hudson Yee going side by side here, and Abdul able to look up towards the inside there and just live to fight another day, moving on to the front straight where he's going to be able to pick up a large slipstream here.
Well, there is something I have just had a thought about, and I've not yet seen it. And if we're going to see it from anybody, it's going to be from the number 14 car of Sammy Hendricks. But I'm yet to see some bump drafting occurring, and I have a feeling this could be a very, very valuable technique. Because don't get me wrong, these cars, you know, obviously these trucks, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, force of habit, we don't usually have trucks. Oh, that's a huge slide there from Hudson Yee. And it's fair to say he's caught it. Definitely maybe a little bit of showboating for the crowd. I mean, we'll forgive him for that. But we haven't actually seen anybody yet doing any bump drafting, and if anybody's going to do it, my money would honestly be on the number 14 car of Sammy Hendricks. Certainly we saw him bump drafting in a Formula 4 car. If he'll do it in that, he'll do it in pretty much anything. It's certainly something I would very much look forward to. But as we have a look, check in with the battles right now, you see Yanis Piafanopoulos currently under some pressure here from Hayden Bramley, the novice coach, who's currently riding 6 positions up. Hard charge right now, the number 8 car of Brian Lockwood.
Yeah, Brian Lockwood, the number 8 car, up 8 positions in 6th place here, and it doesn't look like he's going to be giving up anytime soon as we go on board here with Hayden Bramley going up the inside of the number 9 car here. That's Yanis Piafanopoulos, and he's able to make it stick. Great position to make passes. It's kind of what I was talking about earlier. If you're able to get on the brakes and get on the inside there, you can catch this run all the way into this last sector here. And really the next really good passing opportunity is going to be going into turn 3.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different kind of racing as we see Ian Joyner is there out in front. Cairo Enns has been able to close that gap back up again. He's got it down to about half a second, ladies and gentlemen. Still very much in the range. Jeremy Childers hanging on to that pack. Kevin Adrian 1.7 seconds back. So I wouldn't say he's in the range, but you can see here Cairo Enns applying a little bit of correction there. You got to be very smooth on the power. It's a very fine balancing act. It's almost like you're steering with the throttle, which honestly is a lot of fun. It reminds me a little bit of the Mustang FR500S, one of the older cars in iRacing, but honestly one of the very fun ones. I'd actually love to do some races in that again. Definitely a lot of good fun having that live axle in the back. I'm not too sure on the suspension setup for these trucks in the back. I'm going to say probably fully independent, looking at how open concept all of that is and how much travel these trucks would usually have to encounter. But you see there, Jamie Childers getting a nice slide out there, but again, it is a fine balance. You really got to be, you know, weighing up the pros and the cons. You got to be so smooth on the throttle, and I think that's where we're seeing some of the passes here happening in this hairpin. Some of the drivers just going a little bit too hard on the gas, wheel spinning, and then compromising that exit speed.
Yeah, solid rear axle in these trucks. So solid rear axle and front independent suspension on these trucks. So able to get that slide going, very similar to the Mustang like you were talking about, Zippy. So, you know, again, this is going to be one of those races where patience is going to pay off. We've got some close battles here with Ian Joyner, Cairo Inge, Jeremy Childers, but a lot of this is going to come very close from Cairo there, able to get it gathered up and not run into the back of Ian. But this is going to be one of the best battles that we're going to have on track. We only have about 2 minutes left, or I apologize, a minute left in this Heat 1 race. So if Cairo's going to get something done, he's got to get it done now as we go deep into the braking zone. Little touch. He's just letting him know I'm there, Zippy. That's all that was.
Yeah, at this point, I'd say it's more affection rather than a harassment, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly you could be taken either way. Don't get me wrong, in a truck, I don't think you can really, certainly not in a sim, I don't think you can really, you know, go down any dark roads. But definitely, these guys are looking to move up the road. You see there, Jeremy Childers making a good amount of curb. I think he's been hanging back in third place, looking to make a move towards the end of that. The more these guys fight, the more it's going to open up the potential behind him of Kevin Adrian, who's managed to gain 2 tenths on this lead pack. Certainly, you know, the potential is there, but Ian Joyner, we know, is a very, well, all of these drivers, honestly, are very, very talented. But I got a feeling Jeremy Childers has been lurking. Are we going to see the white flag this time? Yep, there we go. White flag, final lap, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get real. And you can see there a huge slide for one of these drivers. Is this going to be the time for Cairo Enns to get it done as they're going to head down into turn 1 with turn 6, Spitzkehrer being the prime passing opportunity?
Yeah, it's proved itself time and time again to be the passing opportunity here. So as we look here with Cairo, is he going to look to the inside? Get heavy on the brakes. Ooh. As they all stay 1, 2, 3 as it was, but a good run from Jeremy Childers out of there. Again, this is a long straight for him to gather up some speed, and I think this is going to be his best opportunity to get a move done if he wants to move up from third.
Yeah, definitely so, as he's heading down, I believe, towards turn 7 here, forgive me. Hockenheim is definitely not on my favorite track list, ladies and gentlemen, but it's fair to say I'm pretty fussy. As you see, Cairo Enns defending that inside line. I don't think he's been able to make attack for the lead there because he's been so worried about Jeremy Childers behind. As we see Brian Lockwood now getting into a battle with John Morandini, and it looks like they're going to be side by side. Kevin Adrian, that gap was 1.7, 1.8 seconds, then 1.5. Now it's down to 1.2 seconds. He is almost caught up to that lead pack, but he is running out of time. Morandini and Lockwood going hard at it as well. Another shunt there from Cairo Enns. I have a feeling Cairo has decided, I'll take the second place. I just need you to keep going, and is absolutely egging Joyner along to try and stay on P2.
As you said, Zippy, just a love tap. That's all it is. Hey, buddy, let's go. I'm trying to finish where I'm at. And honestly, we're running out of passing opportunities here. It's going to take a very impressive move from Jeremy Childers to get something done here. He could go up the inside here, which it looks like he's going to try to do. And he may be able to make this stick if he can carry that speed. And they're going to be almost side by side, Zippy. That would have been an outstanding move by Jeremy. I would have been a Jeremy Childers fan. Not that I'm not already, but I would have bought some merchandise.
Well, Jeremy Childers, I guess you're going to have to get up with some merch. Actually, he sent me a request I needed to look at. He was asking me if I'd actually commentate some of his clips for him, which was definitely an unusual request. Let us know in the chat or something if that's something you'd be interested in. As we got a battle here going side by side, Abdul Rahman Mahmood, he's been able to hold on to that, but only just Hudson Yee getting a lot of pressure there from Abdul Rahman Mahmood. But what an absolutely intense race, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty safe for the most part, thankfully, but definitely some big movers. Brian Lockwood was able to get John Morandini in the end, managed to move up 9 spots to take 5th overall, but incredibly close racing here as we see Zoltan Zomator making his way towards the checkered flag.
Not the race Zoltan was looking for there. Again, this is a tricky combo. Definitely an interesting one, really testing every little bit of skill. You know, you can apply certain things from open wheel formula cars to GT3s or P2s, something with downforce. These are very similar to, like you were talking about, the Mustang. Honestly, the BMW M2, the legacy NASCAR trucks, something with a little bit less rear end in it.
Well, let's take a quick look at the results here from Heat 1. Ian Joyner able to stay on the lead there. He manages to take the top spot with Cairo Enns in second. Jeremy Childers, I think, is his first podium, certainly top split. Congratulations to him. Kevin Adrian takes 4th for Brian Lockwood, closing out the top 5. John Marandini took 6th with Kane Halliburton in 7th. Hayden Bramley in 8th with Yanis Theophanopoulos in 9th. And Hudson Yee closing out your top 10.
Yeah, followed by Abdul Rahman Mahmood in 11th, Matt Larkin 12th, Sammy Hendricks 13th, Zoltan Zamador 14th, and Andrew Calabrese and Thomas Niemann rounding out the end there. Unfortunately, we lost Thomas there at the end.
Well, as we have a look at your grid, obviously we had the invert, ladies and gentlemen. So Hudson Yee is going to be starting at the top spot with Yanis Theophanopoulos there in 2nd. Hayden Bramley, in theory, will take 3rd with Kane Halliburton in 4th. I have a feeling these guys may indeed move that around a little bit. John Marandini, he's scheduled to be in 5th with Brian Lockwood in 6th. Kevin Adrian will take 7th with Jeremy Childers in 8th. Cairo ends in 9th. And Ian Joyner closing out your top 10.
And in 11th, we have Abdul Rahman Mahmood, Matt Larkin in 12th, Sammy Hendricks 13th, Zoltan Zamadar 14th, Andrew Calabrese 15th, and Thomas Niemann in 16th. Curious to see if we have Thomas back in Heat 2 here.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping he is back, but certainly the invert grid working very well for anybody P10. Certainly Hudson Yee has been able to make his way up through the standings, and I'm going to be very interested to see how this is all going to work out, especially if the coaches, sometimes they do indeed give themselves a black flag and move back through the field, but not always, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be interested to see how this works out. That track temperature still staying very, very warm. 43 degrees Celsius. That's definitely, I have a feeling with tire degradation, maybe something these guys are feeling. Obviously, they're used to being on dirt, not asphalt, and then it's incredibly hot as well. So certainly something to talk about any interviews after the race, perhaps. But you can see the fans are out in the numbers here at Hockenheim, ladies and gentlemen. Full stands. It's an absolute sellout show.
Zippy, I have to tell you, if this was a combo local to me, I'd show up. This is some fantastic racing. I'd pay a premium for these tickets, I gotta tell you, because this is fun.
Yeah, definitely is. I love racing stuff that just generally is a little bit different. I do enjoy a bit of vintage racing as well, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, we got Reese Gardner. He's currently out this week, but definitely good to have Kyle Mills back in the booth. Good to have him here on Pit Road Productions as well. And I am seeing a little bit of a pattern here. I'm not quite sure what's in that pattern. I can't see it on Kane Halliburton's car. He's out of uniform, but there's all sorts of little, I believe it might be fruit, but don't.
Yeah, I think we're either very hungry, Zippy, or those are sandwiches, tomatoes, I think maybe a peach. It looks fantastic, but I also haven't eaten lunch. So I'm going to just take it with a grain of salt. No pun intended there. And we're going to just enjoy some racing here as we're about to catch this green flag with Hudson Yee leading us into turn 1.
Definitely. If you weren't hungry before, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize if you are now. Certainly for the once, I was actually able to have a snack before we came onto the show. I think probably the only one who did. I don't know. Rob's a little bit older. He may have been up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you know. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. But the lights are indeed getting ready to go. Hudson Yee is going to start us off, and the coaches have remained in their position. So let's see how this works out. And a very, very smoky start here. I didn't see any jumps, as it looks like Sammy Hendricks has already made his way past Matt Larkin, up 1 position. Cairo ends up 2 positions as a head down into turn 1.
Yeah, into turn 1 here, Hudson Yee keeping his lead as we look at Hayden Bramley is going to have the inside here as we go side by side into turns 3, 4, and 5, or 2, 3, and 4. I apologize. It's a little left, right, left section here. It looks like, Zippy, your wish is going to be granted. We may be getting some 3-wide racing coming up here really soon.
I'm certainly hoping for it. I think I see a little bit of bump drafting going on there from the coaches. I do wonder if maybe they've had a little bit of a team meeting and said, all right, let's let's work together. Certainly, in any race format, honestly, it can be so much easier if you got a couple of pals to support you, and that's actually one of the good reasons to join the Almeida Academy. Because not only do they do these weekly races, but they also do pit parties, multiple pit parties, as that to factor for the different time zones as well. Both for the Americas and indeed Europe is catered for, ladies and gentlemen. And then you can get access as well. You can get into the courses and stuff like that. So strongly recommend you check that out. We'll have a brief advert for you guys on that a bit later. But right now, Hudson Yee able to hold on to that top spot. Hard charger right now. Kane Halliburton up 2 spots. He's there in second and will be trying to challenge for the lead. But Hayden Bramley goes side by side there with Brian Lockwood for a second. These guys, coach versus coach, ladies and gentlemen. It is actually, though, novice coach versus seasoned coach, I guess you could say here. And both of these drivers very, very competent. I don't think either of them are going to be giving it up without a fight.
No, I'm just sitting here watching our timing screen, and all I see is Hayden jump Brian, Brian jump Hayden. They're not giving up. This is going to be a fight that's going to go on until someone establishes a running order here, and I don't think these guys are going to let it happen as we see Kevin Adrian getting involved with this fight here. You know, whenever you're fighting with people, you open up opportunities for people behind you to kind of jump in there. We've got John Morandini involved in this as well. Really tight racing here as we go back onto the front straight. Yeah,
he was absolutely able to capitalize on that. So Lockwood and Bramley were having a fight. Morandini was lurking in the background and then said, "Thank you, Brian," and goes and gets one up over the coaches. So certainly, if that was if we was in the championship format like we had in season 3, well, in season 1, 2, and 3, ladies and gentlemen, then so they did start adding extra points available for if you defended against the coach. But right now, Kane Halliburton has indeed taken the lead. Huge amount of steering there to try and get that truck around the corner. You can see there Hudson Yeat second, Yanis Theophanopoulos there in third, with Bramley very closely behind. It looks like Kevin Adrian applying a good amount of pressure there to the coach as well. Brian Lockwood. Brian getting a lot of pressure here today.
Yeah, Brian under pressure both races so far here, with Kevin Adrian still giving him the beans right now as we head down into this heavy braking zone where Kevin's going to have the inside line here, the preferred line. And it looks like we have Ian Joyner trying to take advantage of that heavy braking. Zippy, here comes your 3 wide.
Oh, he's pretty much on the grass there. I gotta say, I'm all for it. You give the guy the equipment to go over grass and he takes it. I'm not going to outlaw him for that, but certainly could be interpreted different ways. As we got a 3 wide scenario, we've got Cairo Enns on the top, you got Kevin Adrian in the middle, and Ian Joyner on the bottom. And who's that in the number 7 car? That's Jeremy Childers looking at sneak up. So these guys are very much getting for a fight. Adrian's there going to be on the inside, Childers on the outside. You can see there, look at the momentum, a little bit of a bump there from Adrian onto Childers. He's trying to get into the draft for the truck ahead. He's now going to be on the outside. Look at all the tire marks these guys are leaving. And you can see there, the more these guys are fighting, they are just dropping back to the pack ahead. I do wonder if maybe they need to initiate a little bit of bump drafting. Start seeing these trucks give each other a little bit of shunt along the road.
It's just behind, as we were talking about, when you're fighting, you're leaving opportunities and doors opens. Abdul Rahman Mahmoud was able to make a move there on Sammy Hendricks. Sammy was able to gather it back up, as we have Thomas Niemanen back in the fight here in 12th place. Very involved. You see him right there in the number 6 truck, getting involved with this, the 11 and the 111 car, or truck. I apologize. I'm so used to cars, Zippy. This is this is an interesting one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, certainly if you ever played Assetto Corsa, they do make some interesting mods for that. So maybe we can get, I don't know, racing washing machines or something like that. I did watch a video the other day that highlighted some of the most questionable mods, or curse mods as it was called, and that was definitely an eye-opener for sure. But right now, we're here in iRacing, definitely the best simulator money can buy, and certainly you can see here some of the best racing money can buy, as well as that is definitely a bit of a dive there. Absolutely sends out on the inside. The number 3 car, Zoltan Zomator, very much looking to park it on the inside, and I think what some of these drivers are doing at this point is trying to get it up on the inside and then close off the line and maintain a position. But right now you can see Kane Halliburton, he has pulled out a bit of a lead there over Hudson Year, and Hayden Bramley now going side by side with the novice coach of Hayden Bramley.
Second biggest gap on track right now is Hayden Bramley to Kane Halliburton. Besides that, we have less than a second between everyone except for Sammy Hendricks and Mahmoud in 11th and 12th. So, or I apologize, Sammy on Jeremy Childers, 10th and 11th. So, Zippy, we're getting some good racing. All sorts of 3 wide action for you today, Zippy. I'm waiting.
Oh, no, here we go.
Spot him, Cairo spinning Yanis Theophanopoulos there into the wall. Didn't look like it was intentional, just one of those things. Again, these trucks move a lot of body roll. Also, lunch confirmed on the side of the truck.
Well, fair to say, we got to enjoy it. And look at this absolute battle here. So you can see here, that's the number 1 car. So number 9 just gets turned around. I'm not sure if that was Cairo Enns. Certainly Cairo Enns is a 332. I think he's a bit further up from that. Let's have a look. Yeah, so Cairo's a bit further up. He's in the 332 truck. I'm not quite sure who it was that ended up causing that accident, but don't get me wrong, it was definitely a spicy incident indeed. Definitely, you see there, the gaps are indeed starting to emerge a little bit. These drivers are starting to spread out, but that was definitely the closest racing we've seen so far today at Hockenheim.
Yeah, some of the closest racing we've seen here in the second race today as we look on board here with Cairo. And you know what, you are correct. It was definitely a purple truck, though. So I think that's where I got a little confused at. It could have been Thomas Niemann in. Honestly, doesn't matter. These things happen as we go side by side with Thomas Niemann in and Sammy Hendricks looking to make a move here. Oh, Rubbin is racing, and we're alive. Let's get going between the 11 and the 14 with the 111 right behind him, just waiting for a little bit of a gap to jump in there.
Well, that was the free wide I was looking for. Certainly in race 2, these guys, you know, the Teddies aren't out the pram, but they definitely don't mind waving them around a little bit here. As Niemann looking to try and make that recovery, currently up 4 spots. Second hardest charge right now. Cairo ends currently in 5th. He's up 4 spots as well. But Niemann is up on the prowl. He's got Sammy Hendricks in the crosshairs. Can he get it done? You see there, number 6 getting a huge amount of rotation, and I believe he's done it. He's now managed to make his way up past Sammy Hendricks, up 5 spots now. He is the hard charger with Abdul Rahman Mahmoud right ahead.
Yeah, 5 positions gained for Thomas today, so making up for that disconnection from race 1 as we go on board here. Oh! Big shunt into the back of Matt Larkin there from the number 3 car. That would have been Zoltan Zamador. So not necessarily what we're looking for here, but again, that's a heavy braking zone, Zippy, and these are heavy trucks. It's kind of hard to get these things settled down in time to make that corner.
Yeah, that definitely would have felt like he just got run over by a house at that point, but thankfully, generally people do not get hurt sim racing, which is good, which is honestly one of the things that I prefer about it. If you compare real racing and sim racing, I feel definitely a lot safer in sim racing, and it's definitely a lot more financially viable. Definitely, if you need to get a simulator, check out Podium One, ladies and gentlemen, one of the sponsors here. Huge thanks to them. And I was checking out their website. These people are very much into sim. They're into real cars as well. Some really interesting read up on that site. Definitely take a good look. I was very impressed actually in terms of sim racing retailer. Pretty good gear, pretty high end gear as well. Very professionally done. So definitely check them out. Certainly huge thanks to them for supporting the show, and indeed for supporting Swelio as well. But you see here the battle just continued. Niemann looking to try and make that recovery. He's got Abdul Rahman Mahmoud in his eyesight. Is he going to make it down? He's going to be on the outside now as they head down into the braking zone. Now, I do wonder, can you start to use almost like a karting line where you do a very, very sharp turn and just try and get the thing as straight as possible, as quick as possible? And it looks like it's not quite paid off for him, but he is definitely carrying a good bit of momentum. He's going to have another go now. Mahmoud on the defensive.
Yeah, it's looking like Thomas Niemann is going to have that inside line here as he makes the move, shows himself. Oh, and he gives him tells him a dummy. Is he able to make it stick as we go down into this heavy braking zone here? I'm curious to see, because if you can get the run out of this braking zone, Zippy, you can definitely make a move stick, because it's hard to pass into the next sector that's coming up.
Well, certainly, it definitely is hard to pass, and in very unusual machinery as well. If I have a quick look at the top speeds, I'm seeing the most I've actually seen is 117 mile an hour, ladies and gentlemen, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, if you do it 117 mile an hour in a house, that's pretty damn quick, but definitely, you know, not one of the higher speed cars we've seen in the sim, albeit one of the heavier ones, and definitely, I'm actually really enjoying the races, and it's a little bit different as well for what these guys would have been expecting. I'm enjoying to see how they've adapted to it as well. Definitely one of the things that I've always believed in, and you'll hear it time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, is that reaching the limit on a high downforce, high-powered car, you need an incredible amount of skill. But to do it on something a bit slower, especially with such weight to transfer, it just becomes a lot more attainable. And as a result, generally the racing is greatly improved.
Yeah, it's like racing a house on a memory foam mattress for suspension, Zippy, and it leads to some fantastic racing as we go on board here with Hudson Yee, the number 10 car, chasing down Brian Lockwood, one of our coaches, with Cairo Ends right up behind him here. Cairo got a good run there, but he's going to take a little bit of a tighter line. Hudson going a little wide there. I apologize. Cairo getting the inside line here into turn 2, 3, and 4 section here. Again, Zippy, this is one of those, whoa, he's going to be able to make it stick there. That was a little bit wide from Hudson there, and that's not what you're looking for going into something that's going to need the speed carried out of that corner into this long straight.
Well, Cairo Enza's definitely seems to be a bit of a natural in these trucks. He's took to it like a duck to water, ladies and gentlemen. But despite that, Niemanen is continuing his charge through the field, albeit it's hit a little bit of a roadblock. There is a 3.6-second gap between himself and the number 7 car of Jeremy Childers. So definitely he's going to have to pull a rabbit out the hat if he wants to capitalize on that, as Ian Joyner looks like he's getting into it with Hudson Yee as well now. Himself, yes, Joyner must have dropped back. Yeah, himself and Kevin Adrian, something happened to him. I've got crash warnings. Let's see exactly what happened here in the replay. Kyle, tell us what happened.
I'm not quite sure yet, but I definitely saw it happen on our timings there. I saw him falling back. He just way too deep into the braking zone there. Honestly, able to get the truck stopped, though, without, accidentally sending one of his colleagues off into the wall over there. So good on him, way to get it stopped, but just a little deep on that braking zone there. Lost a lot of momentum, and that dropped him back to 6th position here. But again, still in the fight. It's tight racing now.
Well, I believe he was on board with the SS Joyner at that point, and indeed the captain did throw out the anchor as we see Matt Larkin there making a move on Yanis Theophanopoulos there. Both of these drivers had a little bit of bad luck. We saw Matt Larkin get caught up. Actually, I think it was Theophanopoulos who gave him a little bit of a nudge earlier, so these guys are now going harder as we return to the battle. Hudson Yee definitely getting in on the mixer, and that's got to be an off track. A pair of them taking the scenic route there as Ian Joyner looking to try and regain his way up through the field. Cairo Enz is pretty much run away at this point. I say that, if I understand correctly, he's got a 2.7-second gap. Almost 3 seconds. So, yeah, he's fair to say he's checked out as Hudson Yee and Ian Joyner are going at it. And you see John Morandini. Now, we've seen him capitalize on people fighting before. Is he going to do it again? He's got the inside line. Can he get it slowed down as they head down into Spitzkara? And I think he's managed to get away with it.
Yeah, it's looking like he did, but the number 10 vehicle of Hudson Yee not giving up yet, because he's going to have a good line and a good run here. Again, though, he's leaving John with the inside line here into a heavy braking zone. As long as they're able to get it stopped, you're able to make a pass here. So curious to see how this is going to end out. And I find myself saying that so often. Curious to see, Zippy, but I tell you what, it's working here as we get a massive lunge.
That was brave. Oh, yeah.
Way to park it on the apex there, brother. That was. Hey, listen. If he would have pulled that off, I'm telling you right now, I would have made merchandise for him. I'm selling everybody today. All right. This is fantastic. That would have been the move of the year. I would have personally submitted that to iRacing highlights. That would have been amazing. Just locks up the rear. And you know what? I think if the number 1 car wasn't there and he was able to get back on throttle a little bit sooner, that might have worked out for him, Zippy.
I do think it was definitely not intentional. You can see there as you're watching from the onboard, he just keep going right. He's like, okay, I may have overdone this, and just a little bit unfortunate there for Morandini, but definitely great entertainment. Fair to say, Jeremy Childers, I believe Kyle Mills has now become your number 1 fan, and I can't blame him for that either. But I have a feeling that Kane Halliburton and Hayden Bramley have started to come close together now. As we're on the white flag lap, we may indeed get a battle for the lead here between these two coaches.
Yeah, battle for the lead as we go on to the last lap. Kane had a big gap, but Hayden was able to, I don't know if Kane made a mistake, unlikely, or if Hayden was able to just put the pedal down and disappear that gap. I mean, like a rabbit out of a hat. I don't know where it came from. But he's definitely looking to make a run here on Hayden as he goes with the... Oh, Hayden. Kane parked it on him. He wasn't going to let him have it like that. So, but now Hayden does have the draft down into another heavy braking zone. So, curious to see if he can grab the inside line here, which is looking like he's going to use the grass to do. Stay within track limits. This is fantastic, Zippy. I'm loving every second of this.
Yeah, I have a feeling that these guys are racing for the entertainment. As you can see there, definitely, it was a little bit more than a high school prom. I'm going to put it like that. As these guys are making some rather close contact, there is definitely a little bit of contact going on. And don't get me wrong, it's very entertaining to watch. As you see Brian Lockwood, he's now got his eyes on the battle as well. Thomas Niemanen, he's managed to move up another spot, ladies and gentlemen. He's up 7 spots now into P9. But Brian Lockwood is indeed a little bit too far back. He's 1.5 seconds, but we know that if these guys keep fighting, he could very quickly come into that battle as well. There's multiple battles happening as well. Actually, there's another one happening for P6, but we're going to stay with the lead for now. They are on the last lap. Can Hayden Bramley able to take over the iRacing master that is Kane Halliburton?
Yeah, it's not looking like it. We're coming into a very tight section here, a little off track, you know, carrying that speed. Yeah, hey, Kane gave him a little bit of a shove out there, so I'm curious to see if Hayden returns the favor just a little bit. Mr. Brian Lockwood back in third. You know, we say he's waiting for a mistake. I think he's sitting there with his popcorn out, and he's got the best seat in the house watching this.
I definitely agree with that. I have a feeling he would have been finding that very amusing, and I certainly would have done. It's good when you get a good couple of friends and you can race like that, and certainly these guys, you know, they're not competing for outright glories. Kane Halliburton takes the win, Hayden Bramley in second, and Brian Lockwood in third. Let's head back. I'll say, okay, that battle has sizzled down a little bit, but let's have a look quickly at P8, ladies and gentlemen. Abdulrahman Mahmoud, he's currently one of the closest on track, as is Jeremy Childers. You can see there, looking to try and make a move on Sammy Hendricks, but ladies and gentlemen, Barney is indeed waving the checkered flag, but I've got to say, that was a lot more entertaining than race one. I really enjoyed that one.
Hey, Matt's just finishing the truck off. That's all this is. You know, he already had a little bit of damage. He was like, let me give my pit crew something to do. All right, that's what's going on here. And I got to tell you, Jeremy, if you decide to make some merch, brother, let me know, man. Because I'm fully vested here, all right? You've given us some fantastic racing. And Zippy, that's one of the gentlemen who reached out to you to see if you would commentate some highlights for him, correct?
Yeah, that is. And definitely, I have a feeling Swellier is going to have to make some merch because honestly, Kyle Mills is just looking to push merch at this point. Fair play to him. Maybe Pit Road Productions has got to make some merch. Definitely, you know, I'll be real. I don't see anybody being desperate enough to want to wear that. But I appreciate any support that we've had so far. I certainly, we did get our sticker onto a couple of really cool race cars recently. But let's focus here on the results for a second. Kane Halliburton able to take the win. No surprises there, ladies and gentlemen. The man is an absolute weapon. Hayden Bramley takes second. My apologies. Brian Lockwood there in third. Cairo Enns takes fourth. He's pretty good days over. Ian Joyner in fifth. Hudson Yee takes sixth with Kevin Adrian in seventh. Abdulrahman Mahmoud, he takes eighth with Thomas Niemanen, able to make his way all the way back up to ninth with Sammy Hendricks closing out your top 10.
Yeah, Mr. Jeremy Childers here in 11th. I won't say any more. Zoltan Zamator in 12th. Andrew Calabrese in 13th, Matt Larkin 14th. Unfortunately, trucking the wall a couple times for him. Giannis Theophanopoulos 15th, and rounding out in 16th place, John Marandini.
Well, that definitely was a lot of fun, but I believe it's time for a quick mention here from our sponsor, and indeed the man, the legend, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Suelio Almeida.
The Almeida Racing League is growing fast. Hundreds of drivers, multiple splits, broadcasted races, and it's not just about individual winning, it's a team championship. You race with your own squad, you learn how to compete, and you grow together. And we don't throw you into the races blindly. Every week, we help you prepare with pit parties to train side-by-side battles, workshops with live coaching, 20 driving challenges with full tutorials, and even group raids into official iRacing races after the league night. For just $25 a month, this is the most complete training experience in sim racing. Join us as a member today to start your advanced training and racing with us. I'll see you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And again, a huge thank you to Suelio Almeida for making this happen. Indeed, as well, the Almeida Racing Academy. And not only that, to the sponsors as well, Podium One, World of Racing, and Logitech as well. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel Sippy Salmon, and joining me today is Kyle the Bold Eagle Mills, making his second show here on Pit Road Productions. And indeed, at the production controls, the man, the legend, sorry, ladies, Suelio, you're going to have to share that title, I guess, with Rob the Goatee Campbell. We did call him a couple of other things, we did call Rob a couple of other things as well off air, but I think we called him the Barnacle, was what we ended up with, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly having a little bit of fun there. But I gotta say, Kyle, absolutely phenomenal race. Race 2, definitely a lot more heat in the oven, I guess, and definitely some even more potent racing indeed.
Absolutely, a lot more close racing. Zippy, you got your wish. We had multiple three-wide opportunities there, and they were seized. So fantastic racing from these guys. Again, it's a difficult combo. Difficult's maybe not the word, but interesting combo. And it's definitely leading to some entertaining race here. I'm enjoying being able to watch a lot of these guys come out of their comfort zone, coming from, you know, like a Formula car or the M2 into something like this, where this isn't something that a lot of road guys would commonly go out of the way and drive. I've never driven it, but it's leading to some fantastic racing.
Yeah, definitely. And I've always enjoyed some of the more unusual combos when it comes to racing as well. Actually, I'm thinking in the UK we actually used to have this thing called banger racing, and basically what that is you get basically any car, it's a piece of junk, and they literally, they don't care if they wreck them, and you'd see them around an oval circuit, and they would just absolutely send it. As I see, it looks like your dog making an appearance there. I was like, is that your dog or your kid? I only just caught it out the corner of my eye, but
that's Cooper the bald eagle, Mills. That's my little my little guy there.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, obviously Cooper not keen to have Daddy Bear share the spotlight there, and fair play to our producer there for going and switching that over. But you see here we return to the track and taking a quick look here at the number 15 car, ladies and gentlemen, which is Andrew Calabrese. Certainly not had the best success today, but don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're having a lot of fun. Being a Canadian driver, I would actually expect them to be pretty good in loose conditions. Certainly, we definitely get a bit of dirt, ice, snow, gravel, you name it, we get it up here. And definitely, and even in the summer, we get potholes as well. You could do with that truck suspension, certainly if you drive around here. But definitely interesting combo indeed. And it just made me wonder as well, maybe this is an opportunity for the Academy to start expanding, into offering a course for, the dirt road side of it. Don't get me wrong, Swello does compete now in IMSA. He's competed in the Radical Championship as well, to which he, ladies and gentlemen, he won it. Yeah, and actually, I believe his Radical race car is up for sale as well. So if you want to get into one of those, buy a championship winning car. Swello has had it. I would definitely check that out. I do believe it is still available. Definitely have a look. Beautiful race car. Don't get me wrong, Radical, purpose-built race car. And I got to say as well, that 020 can, whoever feels that they need that to fill their truck, obviously you've got a leak, ladies and gentlemen. You need to use that full jug there. But this is going to be the final race of the day, the morning, the evening, the afternoon, wherever you may be. Certainly, we do appreciate that a lot of the viewers here for Piro Productions and indeed Swello Almeida's Academy are from all over the planet, and we are very happy to have you here on board. But I suppose we should probably take a quick look at the grid. Kyle, do the honors, sir.
Yes, sir. Starting in first, we have Kane Halliburton, followed by Hayden Bramley in second, Brian Lockwood third position, Cairo Inns fourth, Ian Joyner in fifth, Hudson Yee in sixth, Kevin and Adrian in seventh, Abdul Rahman Mahmood in eighth, Thomas Niemann in ninth, Sammy Hendricks, another coach, in 10th.
As we have a look at 11th, we're going to have Jeremy Childers. Certainly is a bit of a hero today. He's there in 11th with Zoltan Zomator in 12th. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close the grid right now. I can hear the engines revving. They are getting ready to go. And it's going to be green, green, green. And look at the absolutely tremendous body roll there. As you see very quickly, Hayden Bramley looking to try and get into single file. It's almost like they're trying to join the highway, ladies and gentlemen. Very keen to get into that draft and capitalize on that. Incredibly close racing so far, as John Morandini, he's made up 3 spots miraculously somehow, absolutely moving on the start. Andrew Calabrese, he's up 2 as well, Niemanen up 1. Actually, I say that, Calabrese, he's gone up 4 spots, ladies and gentlemen. He's really rolling.
John Morandini up 4 positions as well. Zoltan Zomator down 3, so not the start he was looking for. John Morandini, 5 positions gain. Andrew Calabrese, he's able to get past him, with Jeremy Childers now getting past him. Again, tight racing here, especially off the start. One of the better highway on-ramp entrances I've ever seen, Zippy. Typically, I end up behind the minivan with, 6 kids in it, and they're going 30. So good on these guys for filing in one by one and able to get to see clean racing right away.
Well, you can see John Morandini definitely using a little bit of the grass there, and I do wonder about that incident point limit. As you see, we've got a bit of a blinker, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody is indeed having a little connection issue there, but don't get me wrong, these guys are racing hard. Anyway, you can see just how close the pack is, ladies and gentlemen. No one has been able to break away, just like Zoltan Zomator falling off the back of the pack a little bit, actually back in P15. And Yanis Theophanopoulos, I don't believe he's currently moving, so I guess he did not take for the final race. But currently right now, Morandini is the hard charger. He's up 5 spots. Niemanen up 2. As many as Calabrese gained, he's actually fallen back to where he started, poor fella. A potent start, but not able to continue that success. But the race is indeed still young. The final race of the day being 5 minutes longer. It's going to be a 20-minute race, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, 20-minute. Morandini's start looks like that's what we're going to go to here. Just fantastic start from him. 3 trucks in front of him, not getting the best of start. He took full advantage of that after absolutely launching this boat of a vehicle off the line and moving up right behind the number 15 car there of Andrew Calabrese, who we're going to see fall back a couple positions here soon. I have a feeling it could have been right here, Zippy.
Yeah, definitely. You see a little bit of a lock up there, and Morinini there up on the inside. He's got the momentum, and at this point, Calabrese is just realistically in the way for him, and he capitalized on that and keeps going. Carries that exit speed. You see the 14 ahead of Hendricks, and he just goes to try and do all of them, but currently not being able to get ahead of Sammy Hendricks. He's currently right behind him about 0.4 of a second, so a close battle happening indeed. A battle happening as well in the lead, and you see there the three coaches are really going at it. I do have a wonder if we're going to see a free wide between Bramley, Halliburton, and Lockwood. I'm certainly going to hope for it. I would very much enjoy seeing the coaches with, for lack of better words, a more hockey-like approach. Gloves off, sticks down, and ready to go as Lockwood looks like he went in a little bit deep there. And Cairo ends looking to join the battles. I've just seen a fender exit that corner.
Yeah, the fender exiting in the corner, quicker acceleration than most of these trucks can grab up. So that was impressive there. As we have Hayden Bramley in first. Kane Halliburton right behind him. Again, keep in mind, Zippy, these are the guys who are bumping and pushing each other on that second to last lap there. Again, good friends, but fierce competitors. So I get a feeling you're going to be right. We are going to have some fantastic racing here from the top 4 or 5.
Well, I do remember, I can't remember who said it, ladies and gentlemen. Incidentally, this is probably a good race moment actually, but I remember somebody saying at some point that when you race, you want to make sure that you come back with as little of the car left as possible. You know, you don't want to carry extra fuel, you don't want to carry extra rubber. You want to use up as much as you can. If not, you've carried too much, you've not had the peak performance. Well, whoever just lost that fender, you could argue that point, that they are indeed making the truck lighter as long as it's just cosmetic damage. Certainly, I think aerodynamics on these trucks may not be the limiting factor. It's definitely a tubular sassy in these. You can see part of it here in the back of Hayden Bramley's truck. And you see, honestly, if Halliburton gets any closer and that visor was clear, you'd be able to see the colour in his eyes, and it may indeed be red at this point. Perhaps a little bit of red mist here as he's going up against his fellow Almeida Academy member of staff here. Lockwood there hanging back. I do wonder if he's going to push a little bit harder. Certainly Cairo ends, I have a feeling he's very much looking to have some fun and apply a bit of pressure to these coaches.
Yeah, Cairo, Ian, and Kevin all just waiting for some little opportunity to slip into this battle here for the top 3 positions. And, you know, we got the coaches out front, but you've got Cairo and Ian right behind them. Neither one of them slow drivers. We go side by side here with Hayden Bramley and Kane Halliburton. Hayden able to make the move stick here, I'm starting to think. I don't know, though, because Kane's been giving him the beans, as they would say in Britland, I believe. Zippy, is that correct? This entire race, he's been giving him the beans.
Oh, gosh. If you're going to start trying to talk British, I'm going to start trying to talk like you. And I don't know if we want to do that on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Some people may not agree with that, but certainly you can see Kane Halliburton is giving it everything he's got. To quote the once famous, the always famous Reese Gardner, gently does it, gentlemen, is the little bit of both of us combined there. As you see, Halliburton being having to take that outside line there. These guys are really not hanging about, and there's not only that, there's battles happening throughout, ladies and gentlemen, but this definitely is it's the spiciest one we got on track, as Bramley is able to hold on now or take that lead, as Cairo ends is looking to get in there, Ian Joyner as well. You got to wonder, are these guys looking to make a move as Enz goes up on the inside? Lockwood's gone deep, and yep, that's the position for Enz, and Joyner looking to capitalize on that as well. He's side by side with Brian Lockwood. Is he going to be able to get it done? He's going to be on the outside here, heading into the right-hander, which I believe is Sudkurv.
Yeah, definitely one of the trickier sections of this track here. Big thing is carrying speed through that corner, and in a truck this large with someone on your inside like that, especially someone like Brian Lockwood, who you know is not going to fault, although he just did. But we'll let that slide on this situation because he's not going to let this man by. Close racing up and down this pack, though. Again, definitely something we're looking for as Hayden Bramley makes a move for the lead here. This is the biggest opportunity he's had to take that lead away from Kane. And, they're going to end up side by side again. Kane is not letting this go. So fantastically close racing. Cairo just waiting for an opportunity here.
Yeah, so certainly, so Hayden did have the lead for a little bit there, and Kane Halliburton was more like, no, that's mine, and takes it back. But we're having a little bit of a battle back here with Thomas Niemann, and now we've seen this driver, he was very potent in practice on the top podium there. Oh, here we go. We've got a free wide scenario. Ladies and gentlemen, my dreams have come true. Cairo Enz is going to be on the outside. Generally, it's the outside car that usually comes out worse of this, and indeed, that may be the case. Can he get the exit speed there to capitalize on it? I was hoping, yeah, I think the coaches were aware Cairo was going to put it in and just said nope and shut the door on him. As you see there, Halliburton up on the inside. It's going to put Bramley on the outside, but can Enz get back into this fight? You can see there, this is getting spicier by the minute. Little bit, almost contact there. Enz looking to make a move, and they are actually pulling away very slightly from Ian Joyner as Cairo Enz makes his way up into second place.
Cairo with a fantastic move there, arguably the trickiest section of the track there. Oh, he's going to have to let out just a little bit to be able to stay on the inside of Hayden Bramley here, but Hayden's going to have the inside moving into this next section of the track. This is fantastic racing, Zippy. It's been almost every lap that we've had at least somebody in the top 3 or 4 going side by side, whether it's Kane on Hayden, Cairo on Ian, and we're just looking here, Thomas Niemann up 4 positions, only a second and a little over a second and a half behind there, but he's there. There's plenty of opportunities to move up the grid here. All it takes is a little bit of a mistake, and you're going to be able to capitalize.
Yeah, you just see there that it looks like Halliburton and Bramley have been able to pull away a bit from the field there by about 7/10, so they're going to have to basically stay in single file if they want to recatch them. And these guys, don't get me wrong, they are all about the win. Don't get me wrong, there's no championship, there's no team championship, certainly for Season 3B. This is more just for a little bit of good fun, which is certainly, you know, Race 1 was a little bit more on the quiet side. Race 2 spiced up a bit, but Race 3, even better, ladies and gentlemen. As let's take a quick look back, and there you go, perfect cue there for Rob. As we're looking at Kevin Adrian now getting into a battle. You got Abdul Rahman Mahmoud ahead. You got Hudson Yee behind. These guys nose to tail as they're heading down one of the straights.
Yeah, nose to tail, and you know, this is, again, I keep reiterating it, but this is one of the best passing opportunities on the track as we look at the 12 car here of Kevin Adrian looking to make a move down the inside. There is another truck there, contact, but everybody makes it out to fight another day, giving the 10 truck of Hudson Yee an opportunity here to tuck up behind Abdul Rahman Mahmoud here and make a move around the outside here of
squeeze.
But color coordinated teammates, a little too hot from the 10 truck of Hudson Yee there. Able to keep a position over Kevin Adrian. I think in this situation, this setting, may be able to let it slide, but if the FIA was involved, you'd definitely be receiving a stern hand smacking for that one.
Or indeed a fine, certainly, you know. We let's not go into the FIA, ladies and gentlemen. Formula 1 can deal with that drama, but certainly I do believe that Hudson Yee did indeed just give one of the competitors for lack of better words, a checking, ladies and gentlemen. But right now we're looking at John Marandini, who's currently the hard charger up 6 spots. Matt Larkin right behind him, definitely applying a good bit of pressure. Now, if I remember rightly, Matt Larkin does actually run in real life Formula 1600, so definitely a very unusual change of machinery for him, being in something that's probably about 4 times the size. And I'm not quite sure on the power, but certainly the 1600, not the most potent power plant on the planet, but definitely a lot more nimble. The power to weight, you know, could go either way. But certainly Matt Larkin looking to try and make up a couple of positions. He's currently up 3 positions so far. Can he get one up over on the 111? Sorry, he is 111 over on the 1 car of John Marandini. As indeed the battle does continue. The closest fight we got going on track right now is indeed between these gentlemen.
Yeah, definitely a tight fight here. As we're talking about a power-to-weight ratio, I'm thinking, you know, let's put it in terms that everybody understands. Let's go with a GT3 car. Probably the power-to-weight ratio is similar to a cheetah, and these are probably closer to a hippopotamus. So definitely moving out, but not at the speed that you're used to seeing on the Nature Channel. So some fantastic battles here, though. Fights. Strongest survive as we go on board here with John Morandini, who's going to have an opportunity here to get heavy onto the brakes and get on the inside of this number 1 car. And he's going to, again, live to fight another day because he knows that inside line gets a little bit tricky. Some oversteer there. Super wide there from Tammy Hendricks, I believe. Just making a little bit of a showing for us here as he tucks up back behind Matt Larkin on board here with Kevin H.
Well, I do want to check in to see what happened to Brian Lockwood. He's dropped back pretty heavily now. He's back in 6th. Thomas Niemanen has moved up all the way up into 5th place, and he's making part of that battle. He definitely has the potential to go to the podium. Let's take a quick look here. So there's Brian Lockwood. I have a feeling there may have been a little bit of a checkup here. I know there is flagging a couple of these cars. Oh, look at that accordion.
That would have done it. That would have done it. The accordion effect, very potent to stopping people from getting around you if they're tight on the apex there, and that's what we saw here in this situation. I think Mr. Niemanen kind of got the worst end of that. Everybody else able to take off, and our leaders are back together again. Mr. Kane Halliburton and Hayden Bremley might have had a little touch. Kane's definitely pulling out about a half a second gap now to Hayden Bremley.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all for this lead pack staying together because it's just going to get better and better. As you see Hayden Bramley forcing it a little bit wide there. If Halliburton can indeed make a break, he can potentially, you know, hold on to this race, as he's got 7 minutes left to go. Certainly 20 minutes in one of these trucks. I do wonder how they'll be doing for fuel. I'm not quite sure if they have enough to make it. Certainly in Rallycross, you cannot pit. You know, something on sim you cannot pit. So see Andrew Calabrese there making a move, and he's done exactly what I said earlier. Gets up on the inside line and literally parks it on the apex. Mr. Verstappen, are you familiar with this move? Maybe you should try it in one of these trucks.
I thought we were leaving the FAI and Formula One out of this, Zippy. As we look here at Sammy Hendricks going to have a run on Andrew Calabrese, though, and he's going to go ahead and show him the inside line here, get heavy on the brakes, the 14 and 15 trucks for 12th and 13th position.
Oh!
But I got that right. We had contact ahead for the number 111, probably between Matt Larkin and John Marandini here. See if we can get a replay of that here in just a second. But Andrew not able to make that move here as we go on board with Matt Larkin. I am assuming he's probably going to get a little deep break and then back into the number 1 truck here, and there's their accordion track. Same time, same place. We'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, definitely these guys are starting to get a little bit more contact. I think they realize these trucks are quite robust, and now, as anybody would do, just trying to, you know, test the limits of that, and I can't fault them for it in the slightest. Certainly, something like the Spec Racer Ford, and we know that I like that car, but you can bump draft in it, but you can very quickly damage the aero on that as well, and it can be quite compromising. Certainly, you know, in some of the open wheel cars, you would not want to bump draft. Did stop Sammy Hendricks from doing it in a Formula 4. Fair play to him. A huge set of courage there, we'll phrase it like that. But right now, the battle does indeed continue. Brian Lockwood currently down 2 spots, looking to try and get one back from Ian Joyner. You can see just ahead. Cairo N's getting a lot of support in the chat from Canada Cutting Edge. He's a regular here on the Pit Road Productions channel. Thank you very much for joining us here, and definitely supporting Cairo as well. But battles happening throughout the field. The closest one is indeed actually right back here with John Marandini, ladies and gentlemen. If we have a look at the number 1 car, he's getting into the stick of it, and part of a rather large pack, as it seems.
Yeah, rather large pack. Looks like Hudson Yee back to Matt Larkin here. Honestly, the whole field's pretty tight. We have a gap from Matt Larkin back to Sammy Hendricks, but we're looking at about 3 seconds, give or take. All that takes is a little mistake. Someone's there. The 10 and 12 truck going side by side here. Going to give the 1 truck of John Marandini an opportunity here to tuck in behind him. And it looks like we may get a double move here from looks like Kevin Adrian and John Marandini. Here comes your 3 wide Zippy into, again, the accordion effect corner, as it has now been dubbed by our fantastic.
Well, I have a feeling that Marandini is, yep, he does not mind using the grass to try and make a path. As you see there, Matt Larkin had a front row view of that, and these guys are now pretty much in a 4-wide scenario. Not 4-wide, like almost like a box section scenario, I guess. As you see Matt Larkin look to try and make a move. There's a little bit of contact there between the number 1 of John Marandini and Hudson Yee. Able to keep in check of it, and there you go. Oh, I seen the damage there on the left rear fender of Hudson Yee there. Matt Larkin just giving him a little bit of a bop, but battles continuing throughout, and looks like Ian Joyner as well now looking to apply a bit of pressure.
Yeah, Ian Joyner getting up on the bumper here of Brian Lockwood with Mr. Niemanen up 3 places right behind him. I believe he dropped back just a few positions, so not really sure what happened there. We still have the top 3 in the order that they were. Kane Halliburton in first, Hayden Bramley second, Cairo ends in third as we go on board here with Thomas Niemann, chasing the number 13 truck of Kevin Joyner here, who's going to have a draft. We're looking at a little bit of a draft pack here. You know, this is one of those things, Zippy, where unless you can get right up on the back end of this truck, there's not much you're going to be able to do as we go really wide here from Mr. Niemann. Again, that would be an off-track in normal situations, but I think we'll give him a little bit of grace in these pillow suspension trucks.
Yeah, I almost wonder what would happen if you turned off the incident limit and said just have at her. It definitely would be colourful for sure. No clearing black flags, or was it literally cut whole corners? Definitely, you know, we've seen some of the more interesting race combinations actually, and trying to think of the guy's name. I know guy's name is Chris. He definitely does some interesting combos. One of the iRacing staff actually deals a lot with the dirt road side. But you see Hayden Bramley looking to try and make a move for the lead. And technically he is ahead, but Halliburton is indeed going to be on the inside. You see the Marshal, he's going to have a front row view of it. And he's deciding to look the other way. But shame on him. But you see there, Cairo ends looking to try and make his way up through the grid as well. Brian Lockwood was able to move up a couple of positions back. Kevin Adrian, I believe, has he's just managed to pass. Himself and Abdul Rahman Mahmood are exchanging positions at the minute as well. See there, these guys having a little bit of fight. Could see Kevin Adrian having a good race actually. Certainly he has definitely had a little bit of bad luck in previous rounds. And definitely having a good fight here with, it looks like John Morandini now getting into it as well.
Yeah, John Morandini right on the rear bumper here of Kevin Adrian as we go on to one of my favorite views there. Switching back though, so we can see a little bit wider view of everybody here on board now with John Morandini, who, again, you know, this is he's been having a fantastic race. He really has. He's learning as we go. Obviously, like you said, not the best of luck earlier, but he is right on the rear bumper of Kevin Adrian and Abdul Rahman Mahmood here, and as he's gonna go around the outside, if he makes this stick, that was an outstanding move by Mr. John Morandini there. Fantastic, but 12 car of Kevin Adrian, not too happy with it. Not necessarily not too happy, but not too pleased with where it put him back on the grid. Back under attack from Hudson Yee as we get the white flag, Zippy. 20 minutes flying by here today.
I gotta admit, that's probably the best move I've seen so far today. It was a fantastic move. But let's take a quick look at the lead battle right now. They're on the last lap, and it looks like Cairo ends is like, all right, guys, let's play. 3 wide there, heading down through the turn. Actually, almost 4 wide. Looks like Brian Lockwood was in on it as well. Definitely, I say 4 wide, not all in one row, but certainly, you know, it was definitely a formation you see there. Okay, that's a squeeze, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like these guys are leaving absolutely no freebies here. And they did actually do a class about, you know, trying to force your opponent fairly, you know, to try and make them take a perhaps the less desirable line. And certainly these guys were indeed paying attention as we're going to go 2, 3 wide there into Spitzkehrer. And you see a huge slide there from Enns. Currently Halliburton is indeed on the top split. Lockwood has been able to manage to make his way up into second, side by side there with Hayden Bramley. A little bit more of a nudge. Can Enns capitalize on this though? As you see, the two coaches have been separated there. Enns tries to send it up on the outside.
He just gained 3 positions back there. I know we're following the lead pack here, but Mr. Matt Larkin just gained 3 positions in one corner. Abdul Rahman Mahmood dropped back. He's now down 6 positions from his starting grid, and he's in the pit lane. So not necessarily the ending he was looking for here as we go back on board. I personally go back on board here watching with Brian Lockwood and Hayden Bramley our fight for the lead here. Cairo ends kind of the big beneficiary, the big loser, unfortunately, in that situation. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean it as in he was in 3rd position. Now we have Hayden Bramley, Brian Lockwood, and Kane Halliburton finishing out our top 3 here as we go into the start straight here and kind of out of passing positions here as we go and look on board here. Not on board, but as Mr. Kane Halliburton takes the win with Brian Lockwood in 2nd, Hayden Bramley 3rd, Cairo ends in 4th, Ian Joyner 5th, Thomas Niemann, our guy, up 3 positions on the day, and 6th, Matt Larkin, up 7 positions. I'm really curious to see what happened back there, Zippy, because on the timing screen that I was watching, that's the wall, Mr. Larkin. That's the wall. But you know what? That's a celebratory wall because I think he made a fantastic pass on that last lap there. I'm not sure what happened, but he made big moves.
Well, I think something happened involving John Morandini and Abdul
That would be
Mahmoud.
it.
And oh my gosh.
That would be it.
Hold up. So who's the number 6 car here? So that's Mahmoud. Let's take a quick look from Mahmoud's point of view if we can here, because I have a feeling that he ended up getting the car slowed, getting the truck slowed down. Okay, so there's somebody who's gone a little bit deep there. That's Kevin Adrian. Gone a bit deep, caught Mahmoud, and then we've literally had a bit of a pile up there, and that's how Larkin was able to absolutely capitalize. And then it looks like the number 1 car, John Morandini, and the number 6 of Abdul Mahmoud almost got tied together for a second there. Definitely an unfortunate incident. Let's take another quick look here. You see Morandini is there on the outside. I feel he definitely got the short straw, and this Adrian's gone a little bit deep, locked up a bit under braking. Catch is there, and then he almost gets, well, he does get put on 2 wheels, and then, yep, definitely gets caught on Abdul Rahman Mahmoud, and then the number 14 car is just trying to go around poor Sammy Hendricks. He keeps going left, and the gap's just getting smaller, and absolutely nowhere he can go. But we should probably do a quick look at the results, Kyle. Let's have a look. So P1, ladies and gentlemen, absolute weapon, and definitely no surprises there. Kane Halliburton able to take the top step with Brian Lockwood in second. Hayden Bramley takes third. So that is pretty much a lockout there for the fully fledged academy coaches there. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to beat these guys, you got to join these guys. That's probably the best way to do it. Cairo Ends, definitely the crowd favorite today. He's there in 4th with Ian Joyner in 5th. Thomas Neiman, and he took 6th. Matt Larkin in 7th. Hudson E in 8th. Zoltan Zomator in 9th. And Jeremy Childers, certainly Kyle Mills' number one driver, it was seen in P10.
Number 1 in my heart, Jeremy. 11th position, we have Kevin Adrian. 12th, Andrew Calabrese. Sammy Hendricks in 13th. John Morandini, 14th. Abdul Rahman Mahmoud in 15th. And Giannis Theophanopoulos back in 16th, 10 laps down. I think he just had some connection issues. Something lost out on there today. So, fantastic showing for race 3, though. Definitely some of the closer racing that we've had today. And I love being able to see it, Zippy.
Oh, absolutely, and we have been able to grab one of these drivers here through an interview. Now we did actually get to speak to him. I believe it was last week. It was Cairo Ends, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian driver. As we have a look here, what did he manage to do? So he's managed to get a 2nd place, a 4th place, and a 4th place. So honestly, not a bad light and not a bad night. And certainly, you know what? While 4th is not on the podium, to be fair to him, he's had to deal with 3 academy coaches. So Cairo, tell us a little bit about your experience here with this rather unusual track and car combination.
Oh, this track has always been a bit of a bane of mine. Few of the corners, turn 12 in particular, has always tripped me up really bad. Taking it in this truck, though, I've done a little bit more experimenting, and I found that this truck kind of suits me a bit better on this track than I thought it did. Took a little bit of work, but eventually I was able to start pulling up some pretty good pace, and yeah, to be able to battle with the coaches at the end there, that was just... It was absolutely exhilarating. My heart's still pounding.
Well, definitely a little bit of a different combat. Of all the things I expected to come out in an interview, people saying that this car really worked for me at this track was definitely not what I expected. But fair play to him, and I've got to say I agree with you. It was in your favor. But we're going to be heading next to the Legends car at Snetterton 100. How do you feel about that combination?
We raced the Legends car as a fun race a few weeks ago. It felt pretty good. It's a little bit skatier than I was expecting it to be. It's very sensitive on the throttle. Of course, being primarily an oval car that got put onto a road circuit, it doesn't have quite the balance that you might think it does, and the shorter wheelbase is a lot to contend with. But that previous race we did a few weeks ago, it was a lot of fun, and I don't expect anything less than the absolute best from this next week. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Well, definitely. I'm actually looking forward to that one as well. The Legends is something I've definitely thought about putting a series on for that. And one thing I will say as well is that, don't get me wrong, you guys will go 3 wide in the trucks. I have a feeling you're going to go 4, potentially 5 wide in the Legends car. And I'm absolutely looking forward to it. It's going to be a belter. But Cairo, I can let you know you have Canadian Cutting Edge who's been cheering you on in the chat today. Huge thanks to them for joining us. But just give you a quick chance to give a shout out to anybody for today's performance.
Oh, big shout out to Brian. My goodness, that guy. I had a hard time with the workshop this week. I had a really hard time with getting to grips with the truck in the earlier part of the week. I had a one-on-one with him on Thursday, and he completely blew my mind with some of the techniques, and I was able to employ them here today. And I could not have done this well without him. It was absolutely amazing.
Well, speak of the
Oh,
devil,
thanks,
ladies and
Cairo.
gentlemen. Yeah, we may have snuck him into the interview booth as well. So certainly, definitely an unusual combination. And now that Brian, maybe indeed Brian Butter Lockwood at that point, as Cairo ends has indeed just maybe melted him a little bit. Kyle, I understand you've been able to catch up with one of the academy coaches.
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Brian Lockwood on here with us today. Second place finish from you in this race. Definitely under some heavy challenges from Hayden Bramley, Cairo, Kane Halliburton. It was, I got to tell you, some of the best racing I've seen in these trucks ever. And you were able to wheel this thing. How were you feeling today?
Pretty good. You know, the races. I'm really looking forward to next workshop because I think that'll help all of us clean up some of our ideas into the braking zone. Had to take avoiding action a handful of times, but overall, everybody did a great job. Huge shout out to Cairo for, he was lightning. He was so very clearly like in the front group. Even when I got out in front of him, it was like he had the same pace, just a little less consistency as I did. So yeah, shout out, great stuff, Cairo. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a really interesting race. I noticed Kane and Hayden. So of course, I heard them in voice chat. They had a little bit of a spat at the end of race 2, so they were kind of going at it at first. And I noticed that they were just sliding all over the place. So I'm like, I don't want to get involved in this. They're overheating their tires. I let Cairo go. Cairo's starting to slide around too. I let a couple more people go. Just waiting for my moment because everybody's overheating their tires. And, you know, guys, we've been talking so much about the limit. Anytime you go over the limit, you will pay. Even if you don't pay very much immediately, if you keep doing it, you'll pay at the end. That's why I was able to drive up from 6th to 2nd in the matter of a couple laps. If I had timed the over-under on Kane just a little bit better, I might have been able to fight him as well for the win. Certainly, some situations played out to my advantage, but interesting that tire management came into play. I'm not sure that's happened in the league before.
It was definitely an interesting showing today as far as strategy goes. It's not something you would assume that these trucks would require, but yeah, the braking zones, you mentioned that was a big one. You had to take avoiding action multiple times. It looked like down into turn 6 ended up being the big one where we had a lot of accordion effects, multiple situations where we had people getting into the back of each other. And, you know, at the end there, we had Matt Larkin making a huge move. Gaining 3 positions due to that. So, you know, it's different seeing it from the driver's point of view. You're in there, and that was one of the first things that you bring up is heavy braking and overheating the tires and sending it a little too far. So glad that we were on the right track with our thinking there, Brian, and glad to hear it confirmed by a better driver like you, because Lord knows I'm trying my best out here, but not always the most knowledgeable with it. Brian, anybody that you want to shout out for us today and this fantastic performance that you put on for us?
Yeah, just shout out to all the coaches, all the members. You know, this community would not be as awesome as it is without each and every person's involvement. And you guys as well for these awesome broadcasts. I get to, you know, hop in an interview room and inflate my ego a little bit at the end of the day. It's always nice. But you mentioned your knowledge. There's a lot of knowledge out here in the Almeida Racing Academy. We've got the courses, we've got in the academy, we have workshops, pit parties. Everything I'm talking about is in the workshops. Everything, you know, everything we know is going into those workshops. And week in, week out, you're always welcome to join in, see what you think, maybe learn something.
Yes, sir. Well, absolutely have to take you up on that one of these days, Brian. Thank you so much for catching up with us today and giving us your insight. Again, we greatly appreciate having guys like you in the booth after these races, and we look forward to hearing from you again, Brian.
Sounds good. Have a great one, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the ARA coach of Brian Lockwood, and indeed we had Cairo Ends as well. But that's just about going to bring it to a close here for the Almeida Racing League, part of the Almeida Racing Academy, sponsored by Podium One, ladies and gentlemen. But it's been an absolute belter. Certainly the racing did indeed get even better the more races we put on. Certainly race 1 a little bit more quiet. Race 2 it got a bit hotter, and then race 3 we had the full-on firework display. Certainly I know that Kyle Mills will be a big fan of fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that's going to be it for today. Join us next week, and we're going to see the Legends cars going around Snetterton 100 for the final race of Season 3B. But ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Daniel Zippy Salmon, with Kyle the Bold Eagle Mills joining me in the booth, and at the production controls, Rob the Goatee Campbell. Thank you very much for watching, whether you've been on Pit Road Productions or indeed on Swallow Almeida's channel as well. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well. That way you can get notified every time we go live. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and we will see you next week.
The Almeida Racing League is growing fast. Hundreds of drivers, multiple splits, broadcasted races, and it's not just about individual winning, it's a team championship. You race with your own squad, you learn how to compete, and you grow together. And we don't throw you into the races blindly. Every week, we help you prepare with pit parties to train side-by-side battles, workshops with live coaching, 20 driving challenges with full tutorials, and even group raids into official iRacing races after the league night. For just $25 a month, this is the most complete training experience in sim racing. Join us as a member today to start your advanced training and racing with us. I'll see you on track.